What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben, and welcome back to the bench for another episode of the VJVE group build. We have my 1/48 scale G.55 by Special Hobby, and today we're going to be focusing on the canopy, gluing that down, masking it off, and of course hitting everything with a nice coat of Stynylrez Primer. So let's go ahead and focus here first on the canopy. I actually anticipated replacing this canopy with a donor kit. I have an old Hasegawa 1/48 scale Mc.202. I'm just not really happy with it. I thought I'd pull the canopy off and use it for this. But as you can see, the G.55 canopy is far bigger. So I'm not really going to be able to do that. Now, what I'm going to do instead, though, is I'm going to take this canopy and I'm going to use some pre-printed masks. And we're going to go ahead and mask it off and just keep it closed. Now, what I have here is actually some pictures and some images of what the masks would have looked like. Because honestly, I cannot find any masking sets available for this particular kit. So what I decided to do instead is I took some pictures offline, went ahead and shrunk them down, scaled them down to roughly about 1/48 scale. We're going to put down some tape. We're going to put the paper on top of the tape, cut down through the paper, and then, of course, cutting down through the tape, and we should have ourselves some masks. Now, they're not going to be as tight or as neat as something, say, like a laser cut masking set would have been, say, from Edward, nothing like that. But they are going to at least give us the basic size and shape of what we need, because the G.55 canopy here is a little bit more on the complicated side. And the panel lines that they have molded into the clear part, they're not really that pronounced. They're kind of soft, and I don't really want to fool with trying to figure out where the lines are or anything like that. So I just decided this is what we're going to do. Now, I don't know how well this will work, but I don't see why it wouldn't. So let's go ahead and cue up a time lapse. We're going to make ourselves all the masks we need for our actual canopy. And then we're going to just stick those down and get that ready to go. Then we can glue it down, get everything nicely faired in, and then paint it with the interior green for the inside color, and then overcoat everything with a Stynylrez primer. So let's go ahead and get on those masks and see what we can do. All right, everybody, here we have our completely masked canopy for the G.55. And I got to tell you, this was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Now, again, they're not as clean or as crisp as you would get with, say, like a laser cut mask from Edward or something like that. But this will work, and I was able to kind of finagle it a little bit here and trim down some of the pieces of tape that were a little bit too long. But I think it's going to be fine. Honestly, I would have loved to have been able to cut the canopy apart, but I don't have a razor saw, and I don't really want to take the chance of breaking this canopy. So let's go ahead and just glue that down with a little bit of extra thin cement. We need to go ahead and fill up a couple of seams here and there with some Mr. Surfacer 500, and then we'll be able to come back and airbrush the entire thing with that interior green color. Like I did for the interior part of the cockpit, we're going to be using Gunzy. This is that pale green color. I've got some thinner. It's all mixed up in my airbrush. Let's go ahead and paint all the interior framing of the canopy, as well as the wheel bays and anything else that needs to be interior green. Then we'll mask them up, and we'll be ready for priming. Alright everybody, so everything is looking pretty decent. We're going to move over to some quick scratch building. If you notice on the G.55, they have that center radiator, and there's a little flap in the back of that radiator that is actually posed open. So what we're going to do is we need to add some detail inside this little opening. Most of the reference photos I've found show that there are some structures that actually run from right to left, and then there's a brace in the shape of an X that kind of sits back towards the rear of that compartment. So what I've done here is I've actually accumulated a lot of stretched sprue, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little section of sprue and I'm just going to glue it down from right to left right there on the curve of that radiator housing. I think that's going to be perfectly fine. You're not really going to see a lot of detail in there, but you are going to see some, and I thought this would actually kind of spice it up a little bit. So let's go ahead and get that all nicely glued in, and then we're going to go ahead and prime. Let's do it. Alright everybody, we are back and we have a fully primed G.55 by Special Hobby. I love how this has turned out. Now if you remember a couple of episodes ago, I went ahead and filled in all of the panel lines and any associated hatches or whatnot. Now since this is a Series 0, we don't have any wing cannons on this aircraft, so I filled up all of those lines with some super glue, sanded them down, and I was really worried about how they would show up here after primer. I have to actually report though that they have turned out beautifully. I don't notice any discrepancies. As far as I'm concerned, all the panels are correctly showing, so I'm happy. I think this is moving right along. So let's go ahead and call it quits for today, guys. Our primer coat is down. We have to go and let this cure just a little bit longer. Then next episode we'll come on back and I'm hoping to go ahead and start doing some nice pre-shading, maybe some marble coating. I'm not sure really what to do and how to paint this yet. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and kind of figure that out. I hope you guys are enjoying the build as much as I'm enjoying building it, and we will see you back here on our next episode. So until then, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here on the next episode of the VJVE Group Build, hosted by HobbyLink International. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you soon.